Beloved, welcome back to the shop. It is a very chilly 21 degrees with a massive snowstorm bearing down on us, and what better day than to do a project I've been saving, a special one for you. Now, as you may or may not know, the old vintage crosscut saws are a national treasure because they can't make them like they used to. And so even the Forest Service keeps and maintains a catalog of these because once they're gone, they're gone. And the gold standard for these, for Proho, is, or could potentially be, this saw right here. This is a 5-foot felling saw. This was gifted to me for Christmas by my friend, the Battle Chemist. This is a Pacific Northwest heart made for cutting the tree of my people, the Douglas fir tree. And this would have been the saw that a guy would want as a homesteader because it's manageable by one person. Yes, you can put 2 people on the end of the misery whip, but you can climb with it. Even timber fellers back in the day would take these saws and they would cut a foot of them off or so and have a one-handled saw when they would climb up for the spar poles. So a lot of interesting history, but this one right here, the more I look at it, I think that this might be one of the holy grails of crosscut saws, especially for Oregon man, and that is it an Atkins or a Royal Chinook, a Simmons. Today we're going to investigate, we're going to do a little forensics, see we can find out a couple ways. One is going to be if we could identify the maker's mark. That is a painstaking process. You have to do them by hand. You would never want to put a power machine on these saws. That's one way. The other way is how much grind it has and what are the tapers on the saw. And we can start with that. This is a genuine Simmons saw and steel in the English standard sheet metal gauge. This is the real deal right here. Very rare. I've spent a lot of time collecting these old crosscut saw filing tools that are hard to come by these days, and this is one of my greatest ones. So this right here is what you carry in your pocket when you're going to garage sales when you're looking for these amazing saws, because this will tell you a lot what we're going to want to know here. So let me show you what I'm talking about. What makes these old saws so special is the way that they were ground. Back in the day, this blank would have been pushed out on a table and sucked down with an electromagnet. A giant stone on a machine that ran on a cam would come and grind what they call a crescent grind in here. Why this is important? Because the thickness of the steel at the waist on the back is thinner than it is on the teeth. Why is that important? Well, because if you've ever cut with wood with a saw that got bound in the kerf, that means it doesn't have enough set in the teeth. These teeth, all of them individually, every other one is actually bent out like that. And the more you bend these teeth out, the more wood you have to cut, the bigger the kerf and the more effort. Now you have to remember these are man-powered. So if they could figure out how to put a crescent grind in, meaning a grind that goes from thick to thin, that means that the steel in the back is not going to bind in that kerf, and you have to have less set. And when you have to have less set, that means you cut less wood, so each pull of the saw is more and more efficient. Only the finest saws are going to have a crescent grind like this, so we can start mapping this out. The very center, or the thinnest part of the saw, should be this spine. Now I've got a paint pen right here, and so we'll write what we find, and then we can kind of start to map out what we have here. Gentlemen, I am absolutely heartbroken at what just happened. I just broke my gauge. I'm so ever since I broke my finger, I am so clumsy. I drop everything. I'd measured it at 17, and it slipped out of my hand, and it came down, and it tweaked it, and it broke that tooth off. Oh, what a great disappointment that is. Took away our 16 and our 17. Well, I guess we can continue on. We'll see. This was 17 at the waist. So we went from a 17 to a 12. Oh, that is a very drastic change. That's exactly what we were hoping for. That's really interesting. 12. That is very encouraging. What this tells us now is this metal here, as you know, as the number goes up, the metal gets thinner, is getting from thick to thin this direction. Now that's a tremendous difference right there. You know, that's what, 12, you know, what, five thicknesses of sheet metal difference. So that means you're going to have the ability to have a saw with a very, very tiny set in it, meaning it's going to be very efficient. So this is the signs of one of the Grail saws. Now we can continue and check and see what it does this way. So we're going from 17 to the extreme end. What is that? 15. Thirteen fits. 14's too tight. 13. Yeah, that's 14 there. That's amazing. That's just what we wanted. What this tells us is now we see that we're taper from thick to thin here and from thin to thick this way. Getting thicker, right? See, from 12 to 13. And then this way also thicker to thinner. The 13, even the 14 here and the 15, so real consistent. So what that looks like is the way that it's ground. I'm ashamed to do this, but it's going to be something like this. That's our 17, and then somewhere over here, this is our 16. This is going to be the thickness, the gauge, and so on and so forth. Do you see what I'm getting at? All through the whole length of this saw, and what that gives us now is, or what that tells us is, we have a super, super high quality saw here made to the best standards of the time. The only thing we don't know is who made it. As I said, these saws are really a national treasure. You don't want to mess them up by putting a belt sander, no grinders, don't put any heat in them. To restore them, to get the rust off and get them prepped for sharpening, you just got to do it by hand. And you want a flat stone, a coarse, like this is a Norton. It's got a red India here. It's got the coarse, so it's a really good versatile stone, and it's perfectly flat and a really good flat surface. So a piece of plywood or something you know to be flat. And we're going to use this in conjunction with kerosene or diesel to help move some of the material away. Double-aught steel wool, green or red Scotch Brite. And that's and elbow grease. I mean, that really is what it is. But I have found, not always, there's no guarantee we're going to find out what this is. But I have had very good luck with using the stone and really carefully stoning and working this area here. And many times the maker's mark will reveal itself. Is there anything being revealed? It could be on the other side. It would have only been printed on one side. But it's a really nice saw. It has the surface rust on it, but it doesn't have that deep pitting, which I don't like. I'm never really excited to restore a saw that has a lot of corrosion in it. But when we get one like this has been taken care of. There's no damage here. This will polish out to a high gloss if we want to take it there. I think I see something. There it is. It's there. Oh, can we read it? Oh, it's coming right through. These were etched in. Oh, I can almost see it. Oh, it's even on the bottom here. There's some stamps. Oh, it's right in here. Let's give it a little bit more. I think we can get it. I want to go over what I've already done too much. All right. I think we're going to see. This, gentleman, is a Distin. I have never seen a Distin with a crescent or taper grind like that. Check this out. We can start to see. So they're really proud of it. The saws that they were proud of, they did marketing on them so you could see, you know, why our saw is better than everyone else. And it says right here, oh, pour something gauges thinner on. Oh, I can't tell what that is, but what that's saying, just like we measured, that this is a crescent ground saw, meaning that it's varying gauges. So it means it's a high quality saw. So that was a real important feature. Ultra high temper, meaning it's going to be hard, it's going to hold the edge. Spring steel, also meaning that you can bend it if you need to bend it. Like the U.S. Forest Service bends them around packs when they throw them out, or they used to for the smoke jumpers. And when you unleash them, they go back out to straight. That's that spring steel. So this is, I can't take this Maker's Mark or something, but this is Distin and Sons. I'm familiar with this company. I have their saws, but even their model name, and it looks like a kind of a Southwestern style logo right here, but the name of the saw, I think, is right here inside this ornate box. So if we can, let's work this off a little bit, see if we can solve the mystery. Let's take a little bit of this Scotch Brite and see if we can't tease that out of there. That's as far as I can go. It's all I can get out of it, but we got enough. We can see it's something, it must be their proprietary name for a crescent grind. P or ROUF, can't tell. Gauges, I see that though. So it must be varying gauges of metal, thinner on P, I don't know what that is. We have an R stamped here, and then we have ultra high temper, high quality steel, spring steel. The name I could not get out of it. Looks like a Prada or something. There's kind of a Southwest marking that I can't really make out. And this would have been Distin and Sons. I do know the logo, and I don't know, I can't make this out. HK Def, it almost looks like a company name. I'm wondering if this was the company logo, and these were made for a company. This would have been that kind of, they would have done that back in the day. But what we know is we have an excellent saw. Well, beloved, I would say that is a big win. Thank you to the Battle Chemist. This is really going to be a fun project. I'm going to work on this and start. This is a process that takes, it can take weeks. How I've done it in the past is I put it in the shop, and then when I have a spare 15 minutes or so, go rub on it for a while. But you'll get through it. There's no hurry. But these saws, check your stock. You know, check your father's or your grandfather's place if they have them, and kind of go through what I did to see what you have, and maybe you have one of these really rare crescent ground saws, which you want to make sure you keep track of and protect, because they're just irreplaceable. Thank you for watching. If you want to see more saw videos, we've got the handles. We can do a restoration on those. Let me know. If this is of interest to you, I have done videos in the past. I've actually been to a school through the Forest Service that taught us how to sharpen these, so I am not the best at it, but I do know my way around it. But it's a dying skill. Not many guys have it anymore. Just a handful of people run through that school. But they keep it alive because they maintain these saws in the wilderness. In the wilderness, in the U.S., you can't use power saws. So trail, fire, they still use these. That's why they catalog them and maintain that school. Thanks for watching. May God bless you and your families. Please keep us in your prayers, and we'll see you guys on the next video.